welcome back to the manga corner. We're in a little bit of a different angle today. We're back here because, my area is still impacted by a hurricane, so I've got a couple of things that I'm getting rid of and supplies and stuff that we're getting ready to take out to people. So my bed is kind of a disaster zone right now, so we're filming over here. So I've been trying to film for Inside Out 2 for literal weeks now. I have a pair of Disney ears that I have ordered. I have a haul coming for Disney ears, but they have just got backlogged because the hurricane. So yeah, I've been trying to film this video for a while and I just don't want to wait anymore. So we're gonna film it today, and I'm dressed very warmly for this because it is 30 degrees outside. We just got hit by a hurricane, tornadoes, and now it's snowing here in Western North Carolina. I feel like I'm inside of Riley's mind. Like my state feels like the inside of Riley's mind right now. But today we are talking about Inside Out 2. And I'm just gonna go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a spoiler for my opinion right up here. This was one of the best movies, Disney-wise, that I have seen this year. Yeah. So let's go ahead and recap the movie. So spoiler warning for that. We're going to do a little bit of a recap and talk about what the movie was about, and then I'll give you my opinions and whatnot at the end. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So obviously you're going to have to watch the first Inside Out to actually understand the second one, but it's kind of still on the same basis as the first Inside Out, which is we are looking through the mind of a girl named Riley when she's obviously a child. That is when the first movie takes place. So in the first movie we get introduced to these characters that we see. We have Fear, Anger, Joy, who is kind of our main character. We have Disgust, and we have Sadness. I almost said Phyllis because of The Office, but those are our main characters. But now we have a whole new set of characters in the second movie. And just to be 100% with you guys, I do have a list over here that I'm reading through because I took some notes and I'm going to be looking through the characters. Our new characters is one, Anxiety. We also have a new character called Envy, which honestly I feel like is one of my favorites. She's very cute. And then we have Ennui, which is also kind of like boredom in a way. And then we have Embarrassment, and we have another emotion that kind of pops in, kind of more funny, which is Nostalgia. But honestly, Nostalgia was just kind of there to pop in for like a funny moment, because Riley is not necessarily old enough to need, as the movie says, to need nostalgia, because she's a teenager in the second movie. So basically our characters here, they are what is going on inside of our mind. They control our emotions. That's kind of their whole purpose, is that they got this kind of bored. They're clocking in our emotions, and we also get to see how when they decide to really step in and take control of our emotions, how that affects the person. So we also see with, not just Riley, but we see kind of scenes where, the mom has her own set of emotions, and we have the dad who has his own set of emotions. Everyone's got their own emotions. These characters look different for everyone, but the story is focusing about Riley. So obviously watch the first movie to understand, but in the second movie, Riley is going through the same thing again with the emotions, where now everything is amplified because Riley is a teenager and she's going through puberty, and that is kind of where the story takes place. This is where the big twists and turns of the story happens. So basically, one of the key factors that we learn very early on about Riley is that she thinks she's a good person. She thinks she's a very honest person. She thinks she's a kind friend. She honestly seems like a very nice person. We also have personality traits that we see form, and one of the ones, the big memories that forms in her mind is when she meets her two best friends, where one of them has a slip up in the front of the classroom. People are laughing at her, but Riley decides to be the good friend and come and help and clean up, and this is how she meets her two best friends. And we see a lot of these two best friends in this new story, so keep them in mind. But basically, we know that Riley strives to be a good person, a good, kind, helpful person. And so Riley from the first movie continues on with hockey. She loves hockey. She is a hockey girl, and so her friends are also hockey girls, and they are really excited to go and play hockey. They're in middle school, but they're going to be in high school the next year, and they really want to do well. They really want to be on the team and stuff, and they really look up to the girls who are on the hockey team in high school. But then Riley is confronted by the fact that her two best friends are actually not going to the same high school as her. And so this starts, honestly, the beginning of what I feel like is her spiral. So the morning that she learns that her friends are going to move is already a bad one, because she wakes up and it's like the first day of puberty. So she wakes up and she's very angry, she's very sad. It's just like a whole mix of emotions. And, you know, she's breaking out, and like I'm sure that there's probably some like period stuff that's starting to come her way, because I can tell you, I wake up mad sometimes when I start my period. But girl is going through the hormonal stages. And so the mom, first and foremost, clues in on that. And she's like, beep, 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 it started. So it's very obvious that, you know, the hormones are kind of starting to kick in and causing her a lot of emotional distress. And so we see when she gets out of the car that she starts to cry because her friends are gone. She needs to cry it out, but she also doesn't want to look weak, because now she's standing in front of the high school with all these high schoolers, and she wants to act, you know, cool, tough, you know, doesn't want to seem like a loser. But this is where the problem also starts to take hold, which is anxiety. Anxiety is kind of like the villain of this story in a way, because anxiety takes control of everything. Riley's whole mission, now that she's in like the high school, like she's trying out for like the hockey team at summer camp with her friends and whatnot, but she wants so desperately to impress one of the girls on the team that she looks up to, Val, and she does not want to make a fool out of herself. And so this is where anxiety really takes hold. The anxiety, the character, takes all of these guys, our original emotions, and just casts them out, throws them away. So now anxiety is the only one that really has power. Like you see envy kind of come in every once in a while. Ennui is just kind of like on their phone the whole time, and embarrassment is just kind of like in the corner, like kind of scared. So obviously it's mostly anxiety who is taking control of Riley. So for the first time, we start to see anxiety really start to rip into Riley and influence her, just the way of her thinking, honestly. Like the way that she does things is just completely influenced by anxiety. Instead of doing things that are kind, you know, influenced by joy, she does things that are a little bit more selfish, because she like completely deserts her friends. Her best friends deserts them for the older girls who are on the hockey team, because in her mind, well, these friends aren't gonna be with me next year, so it'd be better to make new friends who are gonna be here at school so I'm not alone. But by doing that, she pushes her old friends away without even thinking about their feelings and considering their own feelings about that. She doesn't understand that that's not the kind thing to do, because joy's not there. It's just anxiety. And so inside her mind, Joy and the gang are trying their best to get back into the central part where the control panel is, where they can directly influence Riley, because they're just kind of cast out and they have to make a journey back to get to where they're supposed to be. But we also see Riley, on the other hand, being influenced by her anxiety. And so this is kind of the plot of the movie, so I'm going to skip over a little bit of the decisions that she makes, but the decisions that she makes, once again, are influenced by anxiety. So that's causing her to actually lose her sense of self. It's causing her to lose, in the beginning, that like trait that she has of, I'm a good person, I'm a good friend. She doesn't think that she's a good person anymore because she's being selfish. She's trying to like get her needs and trying to impress people by not being herself. She's like trying to be someone she isn't, and it's not who she really is. She's thrown her friends away for new people who are older and cooler. She does not have the same morals that she used to have. She feels like she's not a kind, moral person anymore. And so at the end of the movie, when we finally see anxiety get to their breaking point with Riley, is during a hockey game. This is like the big game of the season. Riley just found out that the coach does not think that she's fit for the team, so she already goes into this not thinking that she's gonna do great. She's already kind of in a bad mood, and so she goes into this and she accidentally hurts one of the older girls. She's playing and she hurts them by accident, and this causes her to get a penalty. She has to go into timeout, and while in timeout, she has a panic attack or an anxiety attack. And it's very obvious that she is in emotional distress because inside of her brain, anxiety does not know what to do. Anxiety has their own anxiety. They are scared because they know that they have messed up. They realize they have hurt Riley. And I want to make this very clear. Anxiety in the movie is not a villain. They are just a character who thought they knew what's best for Riley because none of the emotions want to hurt Riley. It's just that anxiety thought, hey, I can do this without joy in the gang. But in reality, they can't. They screwed it up, and now anxiety is taken over. So once Riley takes a few breaths and starts to calm down, we see that her friends come over and they ask if she's okay, and she basically just spills her mind. She's like, I'm really sorry, I did not mean to throw you guys away. Her old memories, the old moral values are now put back onto this pedestal. The anxiety memories are gone, and she regains her consciousness. Basically, she remembers, I am a good person and I want to be a good friend, but sometimes I struggle with that. And that's kind of the part of becoming a teenager with her, is that she knows she's a good person, but she also now acknowledges that I do have selfish moments. I do love my friends and I want to be a good friend, but sometimes I'm not. And that's perfectly okay, because no person is perfect. No person is going to be perfect and always good. You're gonna have moments of selfishness. That's just how it is being a person. And so anyway, she does make up with her friends, and the end of the movie is kind of left to your opinion on whether Riley does get the team or not, because it's kind of it's up to you. Read the letter, do you get it or do you not? And at the end, it's kind of, the audience's interpretation. But that is kind of the plot of Inside Out. So it was a very rough plot. I absolutely do recommend watching the movie. For my review, I'm gonna have to give this a 10 out of 10. I did not necessarily love the first Inside Out. It's been a couple years, maybe I need to rewatch it, but I watched it in school when it came out, and I was like, this is alright. Not my favorite thing, but alright. This second one, I really loved, and I'm a little bit skeptical whenever it comes to sequels for movies, but I just really like the way that this one was handled. I really like the message that it was going with, especially, with anxiety taking over, because, again, I don't think that this was supposed to showcase that anxiety is bad. Anxiety is always bad, because you're always gonna have anxiety. Always. It's just part of human nature. But I also like the part where it showcases that you can want to be a good person. You can strive to be a good person, but also still have moments of weakness. Everybody has that. It's not a flaw. It's not something bad. It's just a compromise, because we're people. We're gonna be selfish sometimes. Not for Riley in this movie is that she has the desire to fit in. She does not want to go to high school and make a fool of herself. She's got all these new hormones and emotions rampaging through her mind. She's having a really hard time trying to transition from not being a kid anymore to an adult. And I do think that's someone who definitely can relate to this, because in high school I was definitely the kind of kid who's like, I'm not going to dress the way that I would want to because I want to fit in. I'm not going to be loud and outspoken because I don't want to make people not like me. I definitely understand where Riley is going for. I understand what they're trying to showcase in this movie, because it's what I went through. I see a lot of myself in Riley. I'm not gonna lie, I was not a hockey or a sports person, but I definitely had the desire to fit in. I had friends who were really close to me, and I thought they were going to be my friends forever, and then we get into high school and they all moved away. So I completely understood what they were trying to showcase with Riley. This movie really did kind of hit home with me, because a lot of the stuff that I went through was in this movie. And I really appreciate that. I really liked it. Maybe it's because it really spoke to me, but I just really like this. I like this coming of age kind of story. I like how she was desperate to fit in, but at the end of the day, remembered her goals and her values as a person. And I just want to take a moment to point this out, because I usually do read some reviews before I go into these videos just to see what other people thought of it, so I can tell my own experiences watching the movie and see if I agree or disagree. And I have to say, today I'm just looking at Rotten Tomatoes, and I have to say I disagree with a lot of the people who are speaking on this movie, because it feels like from what I'm seeing, a lot of these people are older people. And I don't know if it's just because I'm 21 right now. I'm watching this movie with a clear connection back to a couple of years ago where I was in high school, even late high school, and I was still struggling to fit in. I was struggling with a lot of these things that Riley was. So this movie to me really hit home. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, it's adults, they don't understand. But like, I do feel like a lot of the adults who are writing these reviews are not connecting the way that I connected with this movie. And once again, it could just be me. It could just be my own personal, like, you know, like this just hit me different than it hit someone else, because this is like things that I went through. So maybe that's why, but personally, I think especially when you're an adult watching Disney movies, you kind of need to be in the mindset that these movies are not always for you, the adult. Like, I definitely feel like Inside Out 2 is definitely more of a mature Disney movie. Like, I wouldn't say that this one is necessarily for like younger kids. I feel like this one is perfect for like teenagers and young adults because we can relate to this one. The only real beef that I have with this movie is one, the critics, and just like some of them, not all of them, but some of them. But honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I really love this movie. This is a 10 out of 10 for me, and I don't always give 10 out of 10s. But with this one, I feel like if I did try and give any critiques, it wouldn't change that much, because I feel like this was just genuinely and all around a perfect movie. I know a lot of people have said things like, oh, her friend should have checked in on her more instead of just kind of like leaving her, you know, like they should have confronted Riley about like her ditching them and whatnot and trying to act cool. But like, have y'all been in high school? Because like, you know, I understand, like, if your friend is acting out, it's obvious that they're trying to be cool, they're trying to fit in, but also sometimes you don't want to stir up drama. I was not a drama girly. I was like if someone disses me, then, you know, I'm never going to speak to them again because I'm just not going to participate in drama kind of girly. So, you know, I saw that was a kind of big critique that a lot of people were talking about, but like, just like I said, I don't think that there's enough that I could really critique in this movie that it would really change anything beneficial to the plot. And I will say, watching this movie after watching Wish, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I've already made a review about Wish, but like definitely this one was so good. This was one of those movies that like I could not stop watching. With Wish, I watched part of it and then I watched the other part like a few days later. This one I had to finish in one session because my eyes were glued to it the entire time. I needed to know how this was gonna end. I needed to see Riley finish out her journey. I needed to see how she was gonna handle this journey. And I'm not gonna lie, there were times during this where I definitely got like secondhand embarrassment when I'm like, Riley, what are you doing? But also, that's just how teenagers can be sometimes. I remember some situations now looking back as an adult being like, why did I do that? That's so, why did I do that? And like, I definitely get that secondhand kind of embarrassment by watching her sometimes. So genuinely, I really love this movie. This was a really good one. So if you guys have seen it down below, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions about Inside Out 2. Tell me who your favorite emotions or characters are from this series. Please remember to check out my vlog channel. If you didn't know, I created a new vlog channel over here where we do like mostly daily vlogs. So if you want to chat some more or see some more daily life of M, check it out over here. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!